This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be in the jungle and we're going to be trying to grab cacao seeds and trying to sell those seeds because cacao eventually ends up making chocolate, and we're going to be surrounding temples in this tile laying game called Cacao. Originally from Abacus Spiel, but then also brought to the United States by Z-Man Games. This is 2 to 4 players. The box says 45 minutes, but it's much faster than that in my opinion. Let's take a look how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. In this game, it's an economic game where you're going to be trying to gather cacao seeds, which essentially make chocolate, and then selling them for money, and you're trying to get the most money in the game. Each player starts with a board of a certain color. This is purple, and we start with a little meeple that we put on the -10 here, and we all have a stack of purple tiles. Depending on the amount of players, you'll take some tiles out maybe, and then you're going to draw 3 tiles from your pile and have them in your hand. These are secret. The opponents won't be able to see these, but just to show you what they look like, essentially these are worker tiles. They have your colors on them, and some of them have basically 2 workers on this side and 1 on this side, 2 1 and 1, and 1 1 1 and 1. So some tiles don't have any on some sides, and different variations of those. Those would be in my hand to play. So here the board is set up to start. You always start with these 2 tiles diagonal from each other. This is a cacao plantation. If I put workers adjacent to this, I'll be able to take 1 cacao for each worker I place. Where here I can sell each cacao for 2 money. So on your turn, what you're going to do is just simply place a tile adjacent to basically some jungle tiles. So when I do this, I have 2 people going to this single plantation, so I actually would get 2 cacao. So I would take 2 cacao from the market, and I would place them on my board. Now notice the most cacao you can hold is 5. And then I have 1 guy that can sell for 2. So I can sell 1 of those that I just got for 2 coins, and coins essentially are money that I would just put near my player board. That would be my entire turn. I would then draw 1 more tile to my hand, so I always have 3 on my turn. Now, when the next player goes, they will place also adjacent. Now, let's say another player places right here, and they grab 2 cacao because they have 2 guys here. Anytime that there is an open spot adjacent to 2 different worker tiles, it's a blank spot. The game always has to be a checkerboard pattern with worker tiles and jungle tiles, worker tiles, jungle tiles. It has to be a checkerboard. In this case, there's 2 worker tiles, but there's nothing here. As soon as this person places this, they can take 1 of the tiles from here and they can place it here. So maybe they take this water tile, they place it here. So what this means is not only did they get 2 cacao, but they're going to get to do this water action once, but so am I. That water action, 1 action simply moves me up 1 space. At the end of the game, I would have to pay back 4 gold, but as I work my way up, I can maximize and get 16 gold. And then this market would refill so we know what's there. So essentially that's how it works. Someone is laying a tile, they're doing some actions based upon those tiles, and then if needed, they would refill it. But sometimes what can happen is, like maybe, for example, this player wanted another water, so they went here and moved twice up on the water. They would get to place a tile here that they know that they now have 2 guys to. So let's talk about, a lot of the abstracted strategy of trying to place in the right spots to force a tile that you can see to come out where you want to go. Let's talk about what these different tiles do. Well, this temple here, whoever has more workers touching this temple at the end will get 6 gold. Second most will get 3 gold. If you're tied, you'd both split the 6 for 3. So it's a sort of area control there. This is just a gold mine. You'd get 1 coin for each worker you have there. Here's another gold mine. This is 2 coins for every worker that's there. There's these markets where you sell the cacaos. This one is worth 3 if you sold it there. Now normally you never put jungle tiles on top of another jungle tile. I'm just kind of showing you these to show you what they do. This is a market where you could sell it for 4 gold. This is where for each worker you would get 2 cacao because there's 2 cacao plantations there. In this case, I would get 2 times 2, 4 cacao. Remember, you can only hold 5 at the most. This would allow you to get a certain amount of sun worshipping tiles here. And those essentially go on your board like this. And those are important because at the end of the game, let's say the jungle tiles go out, and they get placed, and there's no jungle tiles left. If you still have tiles left, you can do what's called overbuilding. You can pay on your turn one of these, and for each one of those, you can overbuild onto one of your other places. So let's say I really needed to sell, or I really wanted some water. I can put it on my own, or you can only put it on your own, and I would get to rescore this and go up 2 on the water again, and take a cacao, and that's about it. And you can only overgrow once, but this allows you to do that. Once all their tiles are gone, the game's over. And at the end of the game, once all those tiles are gone, you simply add up the gold, or minus the gold, depending where you're on the water track. You count up all the gold in your stack from selling the cacao. Cacaos are worth nothing, but you also get 1 gold for each of these that you did not use to overbuild, and whoever has the most gold is the winner. If it's a tie, the one who has the most cacao fruits is left. If there's still a tie, then you share the win. All right, well, there's Cacao. Now, I love tile laying games. Carcassonne is just like a great relaxing game, lanterns and other tiles. So I just, in general, love tile laying games. This one's no different. I've heard a lot about this game. I even watched people play this at, the different conventions last year, and I walked over to it and went, how is this? Everyone's like, oh, it's really good. Everyone has had great things to say, but when I looked at it, I was just like, it just looks kind of boring. But you know what? Carcassonne itself could look a little boring, but it's a great game, right? So this one, you get into it, I was amazed at how simple it was, because the people that were telling me they liked it a lot tend to have been heavier gamers. And I had heard, hey, it's kind of like Carcassonne 2.0. It's a little bit depth. It's like the next step from a Carcassonne game. And I would say that's true in depth, but not necessarily true in simplicity. I think with the types of scoring you do in Carcassonne versus the types of scoring you do here, this is even simpler from a scoring standpoint. The depth comes with that abstracted spatial recognition patterns of this game, where you're looking and you're going, if I place here, he might place there and then get that other jungle tile. Maybe I place here and I get to fill in my own. So there's a lot of gamery of trying to figure out where to place your guys. Where do I want to go? Do I want to go here knowing that he's going to place this over here and I'll get it too? Or do I want to sort of monopolize this area over here and get them both for myself? Really interesting decisions for how simple the game is. I mean, you're literally just placing a tile on your turn and drawing a tile, just like Carcassonne, and then maybe drawing a jungle tile. But with those mechanisms, there's a lot of depth here. I like it. I mean, the game's simple. You're basically getting cacao, and you're selling cacao, and maybe you're visiting the water and getting gold that way too. But overall, it's very simple. But I liked it because there's a lot of depth, and that is my sweet spot. The depth to complexity ratio is very high here. Not a lot of rules, but the depth is there. So I really like this game a lot. If you like tile laying games, absolutely one to check out. And I loved it so much that I am keeping this in my collection in my library. And for that, let's induct it properly with a saxophone serenade. This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter and making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.